Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So as promised, here is your bonus video. I just wanted to talk about this movie that I watched recently that I thought was super duper interesting, we'll just say. Before I get started, I just want to thank everybody who subscribes to me, who follows me on Twitter, who engages with my content, because I just really like to converse. I love talking, I love having conversations, and you guys have given me that. So I thank you for that, and I am so happy that you guys have decided to subscribe to me and to listen to me. It means a lot. Thank you. Anyways, without further ado, let's get on with the video. So, a week ago today, I decided to watch the movie Burning 2018. I went in blind. I didn't know anything about this movie. I just heard from a friend that it was a good movie. Now, what is my goal when watching a movie? Is it to be entertained? Is it to make the time go by? Perhaps it's for background noise. I watched Burning 2018 because when I watch a movie, I want to see a story. It doesn't matter what kind of story it is, but I want to see a story, whether it's deep and psychological or light and fun. Deciding to put on a movie, especially if it's a long movie, like Burning, is an unofficial contract I make with the story. I am giving my time in exchange for a message at the end of the story. I desire to get something out of it in exchange for my time. The basis of storytelling is a beginning, a middle, and an end. By the time I get to the end of that story, I want the themes of that movie to come to a satisfying conclusion, and I want the most pressing questions answered. That is all it takes for a movie to be not bad. And the movies that go above and beyond these small requirements, I'd consider to be good movies, especially if it leaves the audience with something long after watching the film. There are stories that intentionally do not answer the questions. I find these to be particularly frustrating. They do this either to make room for a sequel, or, and I haven't seen it done often, but sometimes the story leaves no answers for the audience because that is the theme of the movie. I'll give you a brief synopsis of the events of the movie Burning 2018 so you can save 2.5 hours of your time. The main character is a man named Jong-soo, who is returning to town after his military service. He's an aspiring writer. He has an estranged mother, and his father has been in prison, seemingly for assault. He runs into his friend from his hometown named Hae-mi, and they go out for a drink. The theme of this movie is introduced at this scene, as Hae-mi explains that some people have great hunger, and some people have little hunger. Hae-mi differentiates the two with the notion that little hunger is hunger in its literal sense, being hungry, needing food. Then there is great hunger, the hunger to understand, the hunger for meaning. She merits that some people will never reach great hunger, and I'd wager that this is why she suffers so much, because she has reached great hunger. She asks Jong-soo to watch her cat so she can travel to Africa and witness hunger, which he does. However, he never sees the cat, and she explains that it does not come out for strangers. This makes Jong-soo doubt her, and he calls back to the scene while they were having a drink. During that scene, Hae-mi pretended to eat a tangerine in front of him. She said that the key isn't to pretend that there is a tangerine in her hand. The key is to forget that there's not a tangerine. He asks if this is what she's doing, forgetting that she doesn't have a cat. However, she assures him that she does in fact have a cat. It is the story's intention to set Hae-mi up as an unreliable narrator, most present in another scene where she explains a situation to Jong-soo where she fell down a well as a child and he saved her life. He asks her family later on in the film if there was ever a well, and they explain that no, there wasn't. However, they seem to be unengaged and dismissive towards anything related to Hae-mi. When she returns from Africa, she brings with her a new friend, or love interest, a rich man named Ben. So they all go to dinner together, and Hae-mi has a breakdown and says that she wants to disappear from existence. She wishes she could disappear without a trace, like she's never been. Neither man responds to this breakdown, and it's never touched on again. Later on in the movie, Ben and Hae-mi come to visit Jong-soo on his father's farm, and as the sun sets, Jong-soo and Ben smoke weed, while Hae-mi takes her shirt off and dances freely. She does her own version of the Great Hunger Dance that she witnessed in Africa, expressing herself freely in the most raw and most authentic way. It's during the scene where Ben tells Jong-soo that he burns down greenhouses just for fun every other month. He says it's near time that he burns down another one really close to Jong-soo. When Hae-mi is done dancing, Jong-soo ridicules her for taking her shirt off, and this is the last time we see Hae-mi. Days later, Jong-soo jogs around town, and every single nearby greenhouse is intact, but Hae-mi is missing. Ben invites Jong-soo out, and he has a new girlfriend, one who acts eerily similar to Hae-mi. Ben has a type, but where is Hae-mi? She's gone. Jong-soo visits Hae-mi's house, and there's no evidence that a cat ever lived there. There's no evidence that she ever even lived there. He then meets with Ben again, and Ben has a cat now. This is the first time we're seeing a cat this entire movie. So Jong-soo calls the cat by the name of Hae-mi's alleged cat, and it comes to him. This tells Jong-soo everything he needs to know about Hae-mi's disappearance. Ben must have killed her. The movie ends with Jong-soo inviting Ben out to meet with him and Hae-mi. Ben rushes over to Jong-soo and asks where she is, and he stabs him to death. Jong-soo strips naked, throws his clothes into the car where he sits Ben's body, and burns it. The last scene of the movie is Jong-soo finally writing his book. So what happened here? There are things the movie never tells us. We never see a body, so we can never be sure that Hae-mi died. Hae-mi had a breakdown and expressed her desire to erase her existence, so maybe she killed herself. Maybe she moved away. She was last seen at Jong-soo's house when he insulted her at her most naked and most vulnerable state. Maybe Ben killed her. We don't know. He's a nice enough guy, but he does say something odd when we first meet him. He says he finds it fascinating when people cry, because he can't. He hasn't shed a tear since he was very little. This alludes to perhaps some sociopathic tendencies. He says his job is weird and never tells us what he does for a living. He could have an illegal job. After all, weed is illegal in Korea, and he smokes it. He can be an organ hustler. Who knows? We just know that he's rich. We don't know why. We have no proof that he killed her. Upon meeting with Jong-soo in the final scene, he asks where Hae-mi is. If he killed her, why would he be asking where she is? He has a box of women's jewelry in his bathroom at his house. They could be trophies from victims, or they could be lost items. We don't know. What about the fact that he has a cat mysteriously after she disappeared? But we can't even be sure that it's Hae-mi's cat because we've never seen one at her house. She is set up in the story as an unreliable narrator, so we can't even be sure if there ever was a cat. Jong-soo eventually has some contact with his untrustworthy mother, who corroborates the story about the well, but it seems as if she's desperately yes-manning him. Was there a well? Was there a cat? We don't know for sure. All we can do this entire movie is infer. Jong-soo asks the landlord about the cat, and she says Hae-mi didn't have one, and that cats aren't even allowed in the building. Hae-mi obviously could have snuck a cat into the apartment without being noticed, right? But still, we still have no confirmation about this cat, and we have one more person basically saying that Hae-mi isn't a reliable narrator. Ben said that he would burn down a greenhouse very close to Jong-soo, and when confronted about this by Jong-soo, Ben says he did in fact burn it down. So then did Jong-soo miss it? Or has Hae-mi the greenhouse been burned down? Maybe Hae-mi and women like her are greenhouses to Ben, strong, nurturing women full of life. And he said that he likes to burn down abandoned greenhouses. And as we see in this film, Hae-mi has a very bad relationship with her parents. And Hae-mi alludes that Jong-soo is the only person in the world that she trusts. So she has pretty much been abandoned. So is that what Ben meant? Is Hae-mi the greenhouse? We don't know. So why did Jong-soo kill Ben with so little evidence? Did Jong-soo even kill Ben? We can't even be sure that he did. We're told early on in the story that Jong-soo is a writer struggling to find something to write about. And Ben offers Jong-soo to write about him upon meeting him. So now as an audience, we have to accept the possibility that at some point the events in the movie are not what happened in Jong-soo's life, but instead are fabrications he put in his book. We don't even know. We don't even know from what point this starts, if it is partly a book. Some would say right after Ben poses this question, the book starts. Some would say right after Hamey goes missing is the point when the book starts. The point is, we don't know. The point of this movie is that we don't know. The point is we don't understand. We don't know if Ben is a serial killer. We don't know if Hamey ever had a cat. We don't know if Hamey ever fell down a well. We don't know if Jong-soo really killed Ben. We don't know if the latter half of the movie is just Jong-soo writing his book. And because of this not knowing, the theme of the movie is realized. We become Hamey. We experience great hunger. In our desperate attempt to make sense of the movie we just spent 2.5 hours watching, we experience this concept Hamey describes in such convolution to Jong-soo, who seems to not understand. When Hamey goes missing, he realizes it though. Not understanding is an awful torture, one that plagues the mind indefinitely. Maybe he expresses great hunger in his book, and that's why he doesn't write in if Ben had actually for sure killed Hamey. Maybe he experiences the great hunger himself in real life, and the events of the movie are all events that took place in his life, and he writes the book after the fact. The point is, we don't know. And to that point, we experience the themes that drive the plot forward. We as an audience, in our attempt to make meaning from this movie, in our attempt to understand, experience great hunger. My goal in watching a movie varies. Sometimes I wish to be entertained, sometimes I just want background noise, but I always expect the most pressing questions to be answered by the end. Burning is the first movie I watched that intentionally does not do this. In its deliberate brevity, in its refusal to answer the most pressing questions, it allows the audience to understand what the main character needed to understand. It forces us to see what Hamey sees. We as an audience have our own character arcs outside of the film, and for that reason, this movie is brilliant. The themes of the movie are not only thoroughly explored and conveyed within the narrative, but it spills out to real life. Its message was delivered. I haven't stopped thinking about this movie since watching it, and that was also intentional. Great hunger is now a part of me. This movie is good because it does what it set out to do all along. It doesn't attempt some new approach to storytelling and fall short. It tells you straight up that this is a movie about desiring meaning. And for you to understand that, we will expertly toy around with your ability to understand anything in this film from start to finish. So yeah, the movie is boring and long and dissatisfying at the end until you realize that this was the intention set up since the main character's first conversation. I don't recommend you watch it because of how long and droning it is, especially after watching this video. There's no need to watch it now. But it was a great experience. I won't ever rewatch it, but I appreciate what this movie was able to achieve. Okay, guys, that's the end of the video. This movie was interesting. Like, I hate movies that don't answer literally like what I'm watching the movie for. If I'm watching a movie about a girl who goes missing, by the end, I expect to find out where she is, right? If I'm watching a movie about someone who was killed, I would like to, I need to see the body, like, oh my God, even in The Lovely Bones, they never show you the body, but they tell you where it's at least. They show you, okay, it's in this big chest thing, right? But this movie doesn't do that. And it's like, it's brilliant. Because maybe she didn't die, right? Maybe she ran away. Like if Jong-soo was the only person in the world she trusted, and he said that, oh, you're a whore. Why'd you take off your shirt? Stop undressing in front of men so easily, right? That's what he says to her. And she cries. Maybe she was like, oh, okay, well, since I don't have anybody here, I'm just going to start over and start fresh, She did say she wanted to erase her existence. So, maybe she did that. Maybe she killed herself. Maybe she went away. Maybe Ben killed her. We don't know. And I think that's brilliant because now That's the whole point. That's the whole point of the movie. That's what she was telling Jong-soo, like, okay, there's this great hunger in life. There's little hunger where you just, you're looking for food, you're looking for sex, you're looking for this, da da da. And then there's great hunger where you want to understand, where you want to reach just this understanding of things, right? And you'll just never understand everything in life. You'll just never understand it. And Jong-soo is too dense to get what she's talking about, or he doesn't care or something, I don't know. So I was watching this movie like, okay, like I thought that was going to be such a small part of the movie, right? Like when during that conversation I was like, okay, whatever, right? I thought that would be such a small part of the movie, but that turned out to be the entire movie. And that's why you have to pay attention to details when you're watching a movie, guys. Especially Korean films are really, really, really good, guys. Like, really good. You are missing out big time if you don't watch Korean media. But, yeah, like, that one little conversation turned out to be the themes for the entire movie. When it ended, those first couple days, I was just thinking about it, and I was like, I literally sat up here and wasted 2.5 hours of my time. I do not know what happened. I don't get it. Did he kill her or not? Is this was that all a part of his book or not? I was kind of annoyed. I was like, what the fuck did I just watch this for if I don't even know what happened? And it just made me so mad. And then until at some point I just reached this understand. I was like, wait a minute. By the end of the movie, you, the viewer, becomes Jong-soo. Is that not what she was talking about? Is that not what she was talking about in her conversation in the beginning of the movie? She was talking about how we fixate on meanings, and it's also a conversation about how depressing that is because she's a tortured soul in this movie. She's crying all over the place. But yeah, I was just like, damn, that's the most meta shit I've ever seen a movie pull off. Literally the most meta shit. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Like and subscribe. Have you seen this movie, by the way? I doubt it. Oh my god, like it's on Prime Video. I think it's on YouTube Movies too. I don't know. But let me know what you guys thought about it, and let me know what you thought about the video. And comment, like, and subscribe. You keep subscribing, we get another bonus video, and Alright, bye.